Hey, Jager here with Adventure Allen & Co., and I'm on a quest to determine the best trekking poles in the world. I've been testing them not just by hiking with 25 different pairs, but also by measuring deflection. So hanging weights off of the ends in the center, which bends them, and I can quantify how stiff and strong they are. Cross-reference that with weight, because lighter poles are better, make a strength to weight ratio score, and use that to rank all of them from 1 to 25, and the winner that keeps coming out on top is the Durston Iceline, which I'm holding here. Really good pole. And now let's dive into how I tested and what else I learned about trekking poles along the way, as well as some other favorites. For the first deflection test, I hung 35 pounds, or 16 kilos, from the center of each pole and measured how much they bend. This is similar to when you shift weight onto your poles to catch a fall. In both instances, the pole bows, stressing the center shaft and joints. Poles that deflect more are more likely to break. I've gone through 3 pairs of these Black Diamond Distance FLZ carbons, which deflected 10 centimeters, while the Black Diamond Alpine Carbon Cork, seen here, deflected only 3 and is practically indestructible. On average, Z-poles deflected 1 centimeter more than telescoping, and aluminum poles deflected 1 centimeter more than carbon fiber poles. While poles that deflect less are correlated with a lower likelihood of breaking, the test does not address sudden force loading nor the fact that aluminum bends rather than snapping. For the second deflection test, I clamped one end between heavy-duty rubber mats while hanging 5 pounds or 2.25 kilos from the opposite end. I tested with both the tip clamp and the handle clamped. This test is similar to when you jam the tip in between roots or rocks and lever forward. The poles that bend more, like Black Diamond Distance FLZ Carbon, which is famous for snapping, will receive significantly more stress on the joints, which are the most likely break point. Those that bend less will resist your levering and put less stress on the joints. On average, aluminum increased deflection by 1 centimeter versus carbon, but telescoping versus Z-pole didn't matter. These are the 10 lightest poles I tested in order from lightest to heaviest. Lighter poles are definitely better because they decrease arm fatigue, are more accurate to swing and plant, are more fun to use, and stow better when not in use. So long as they're strong enough, like stronger than average among all poles, and only half of these are, you can have your cake and eat it too. In this shot, I've rearranged them into 3 categories: the super ultralight 115G Ruta Yana, which stands alone, the 140 to 150G Durston Iceline and Gossamer Gear LT5, and followed by a crop of lightweight poles ranging from 160 to 180G. Lighter is better so long as it's also stronger. To rank the poles by a single metric, I multiplied middle deflection times end deflection times weight, which creates an analog to the coveted strength to weight ratio stat used in other types of gear analysis. Notably, each of the top 5 highest strength to weight ratio poles was a carbon fiber telescoping model. No aluminum, no Z-poles. Ah, such sweet music. As part of my holistic evaluations, I scored each pole on reverb. Well, this isn't as important as weight or stiffness. Rattly poles are super annoying to hear and hold, and were dinged accordingly in my scoring. Quiet, low reverb poles like Durston Iceline, which had less rattle than any other pair, were awarded bonus points. And as an aside, Iceline is the quietest pole because of 2 rubber O-rings in the ferrules. And speaking of, many of the weakest Z poles were those with the shortest or narrowest ferrules. Reinforced joints really matter. But if there was one unifying characteristic between every one of the strongest poles, it was a wide diameter shaft, usually 16 plus in the center. Evaluating handles and straps is much more subjective, so to score them, I surveyed my hiking partners. Most agreed that thin, soft, cloth-like wrist straps on the left side were preferable to clunky, padded straps, like on the right side. Narrow to medium-width handles, like on the left side, were preferable to thick handles, like on the right side. Opinions varied greatly when it comes to cork versus foam. Folks love cork because it's natural, stiffer, and absorbs no water, but can be up to half an ounce heavier per pole, and marmots and rodents like to eat it once it gets salty from sweat. Foam is a bit lighter, cheaper, and softer, but doesn't have that natural feel. Because foam is lighter, it's technically better, but which you choose is largely personal preference. Grip extenders are a welcome add-on for navigating steep slopes on cross-country travel, but are mostly dead weight for 99% of on-trail movement. So after penalizing janky flip locks, visually distracting flip locks, and twist locks, I gave each pole a final score, and you'll see that right here. I used weighted scoring, strength out of 9, weight out of 6, trim, as in handle, wrist strap, flip locks, etc., out of 6, and rattle out of 3. While no system is perfect, and your pole choice should also be based on personal needs, this is a good generalization and puts the best poles overall at the top. Next, I'll tell you about the 3 highest scoring poles, but first, some honorable mentions. All 4 of these poles are strong, light, and exceptional in some way, but didn't quite make it onto the Pantheon. Gossamer Gear LT5 was the second lightest model I tested, comfiest handle wrist strap, but it's not uber strong and has twist locks. Compardel Carbon Ultra Zero was quite strong, reasonably light, and extended up to 140 centimeters, making it the best option for tall hikers. If you need collapsibility, Lecky Black Series FX Carbon was the stiffest Z pole I tested, which shores up that genre's greatest weakness, but it's midweight, not lightweight. Lastly, Lecky Ultra Trail FX1, which is trusted and proven by elite ultra marathoners, is very light, collapsible, strong, and features the unique shark strap instead of a traditional wrist strap loop, which wears like a glove and increases power transfer from arm to ground. The first pole to consider out of the top 3 is Cascade Mountain Tech Carbon Ultralight, which was our third highest scoring pole for only $65 and a huge upgrade over the original. This pole is extremely stiff relative to its light weight, and part of that is because of its single flip lock, 2-part composition, which seems to reinforce the center against deflection. The handle plus extender is light and great, but it does suffer a bit from a cheap nylon webbing wrist strap. Its biggest drawback is a tall minimum collapsed height. While it will still fit into the side pocket and straps of a backpacking backpack, it's a bit too long for running vests or small day packs. But the fact that most people just use their poles most of the time anyway largely, but not entirely, mitigates that issue. Black Diamond Alpine Carbon Cork was the second highest scoring overall because it was the strongest out of every pole we tested. These poles have been around forever, trusted by thru hikers and mountaineers alike for their durability and strength. The only reason they're not the best is that lighter poles are easier to use, and these are solidly midweight. Oh yeah, and the wrist strap is quite clunky. Still though, it has a nice cork handle, foam grip extender, and, might I say, the best flip locks in the biz. These are ultra snappy and it's very clear when they're closed and taut. Their collapsed height is an industry standard 61 centimeters. And saving the best for last, Durston Iceline. These were the highest scoring poles in our entire group, in large part because they had the best strength to weight. Miraculously, they were both the third lightest and the third stiffest. On top of that, they had the least reverb and rattle out of any pole I tested, collapse down nearly as small as Z poles, and have the most breathable mesh wrist straps, which are also quite durable and reasonably comfortable. Ice lines are most akin to a Z pole without the center connector line. The top section connects to the middle section with a traditional adjustable height flip lock, while the middle section connects to the bottom with a quick connect for rule. A potentially major drawback for some people is that they max out at 127 cm, so may not fit tall hikers or tall trekking pole shelters. Here's another look at the O-rings on the ferrule that dampen reverb. And to wrap up, the best poles are those which are strong and light because they won't break and they won't fatigue you while you hike with them, as well as having good wrist straps, good grips, good locking, good collapsibility, and no other major flaws. So if you can combine all that, you get a really good pair of trekking poles. This has been Jaeger with Adventure Island & Co. on the beach, and thanks for watching. Happy trails and happy trekking.